You're here because you want to know the secret to a smooth TPLO recovery, and I'm going to teach you some things that are going to surprise you. The first one is the mindset shift, and this is something you can do well before surgery day. Your calm energy is the foundation of how well your dog will do after surgery, well, and even before, too. The calmer you are, the better your dog will heal. If you think about how you feel when you're sick, you don't want chaos around you. You don't want to be around that person who has nervous vibe energy, the Eeyore friend. We all kind of know someone like that, right? You want someone who's upbeat to be around you when you're not doing well. If we shift the focus from being stressed out to being calmer, our dogs will do better because of it. So that makes me think of how I was when I was researching everything with my dog, right? My dog was diagnosed. I was a nervous wreck. I couldn't sleep. Every moment I had when I was working was consumed by Google searching because I thought the more I learned, the better I'd feel. But what happened was the more I learned, the more confused I got. And that's because you go to a website that is pushing knee braces and they're like, you don't need surgery. Our knee brace has helped thousands of dogs avoid surgery, CCL surgery. You go to the red light or the laser ads on Amazon or the listings and you read the reviews. This helped my dog. You go to the anti-surgery online forums and they say, if you talk about surgery, we're going to kick you out. And, you know, it's hard to know what to do. There are so many important decisions to make that we get so stressed out. And you know who the recipient is of all that stress? Well, besides your family and friends and loved ones, your dog. I think back to those times with my dog, and he knew I wasn't right. You know how when you're sad or you're stressed and your dog is right there because they sense something is not right? Well, that's what happens before and after surgery. While we're lying awake at night and we're wondering, what should I do if? What surgery should I pick? What vet should I pick? How am I going to pay for this? When you're thinking about all those different scenarios, what happens if something doesn't go right? What if they get an infection? What if they need a second surgery? When you're worrying about all that stuff, guess what your dog is doing? They're really just happy to be with you. They're happy to be sitting by your side. Here's a key insight into dog psychology. I'm not an animal behaviorist, but I do know this. Dogs don't look ahead. They don't think about what'll happen if, or am I going to be in pain, or how is this going to be? I'm so nervous. No, they don't think like that. They think in the moment. It's kind of really how we all should be thinking, right? They live second by second. And you know what else? They're not dreading surgery. You are. And that's okay. So think of yourself as your dog's emotional thermostat. Take a deep breath. Go ahead and do it now. You could take a deep breath. Relax. If your shoulders are hiked up to your ears, let them down. It's going to be okay. You will figure this out, even if you're just in the early stages and you don't know what to do. Let's talk about a little home setup that you can do. You can make your dog their own little recovery den. We could call it their Zen den, right? Create this space so they understand that this isn't a punishment place. You're not being stressed out or yelling at them to get in their recovery area before surgery. You're giving them a lot of praise and positive feedback. You're making it a place where they know this is a safe place for me. It's a fun place. My pet parent is coming in here and hanging out with me. I get treats here. I get to play with my favorite toy here. I have a little room to move around. One of the things that I notice with some of the recovery areas I see is that people have a dog bed in there. Make sure your dog has some room to walk around a little bit. And so maybe you buy 2 exercise pens and hook them together, or you get a smaller dog bed, or maybe a blanket that's kind of got some firmness to it, not like a lumpy comforter that they can get their leg caught up in or trip over, but something that you can fold up that will be cushiony, that doesn't take up the entire floor space of your recovery area. If you can see where I am right now, you see all these rocks. If I had a wonky knee, or if I just had surgery on my knee and I'm walking over these lumps and bumps, it's not going to feel great on the injured joint. I think that probably happens to our dogs too when they have to stand on their dog bed versus the floor. I think the floor is probably more comfortable. If we think about our dogs like we would a small kid who's not feeling great, what do they want? They want their mommy, right? They want their dad. They want somebody they love to be close by because we're comforting. And our dogs need that too. So if you're putting your post-op dog in a bedroom in a basement, somewhere where you're not. I've seen and heard stories of dogs biting through wood trim, scratching the crap out of carpeting, digging holes in carpeting, causing an awful lot of damage. And let's not even think about what's happening to their leg while they're doing all this digging and jumping and all this other stuff. I recommend finding a spot where your dog usually hangs out that's quiet and peaceful, and set their recovery area up there. Let them see that you're nearby. You don't have to be sitting in there all the time with them, but be nearby so you can give them some reassurance, but also keep an eye on them too. All right, so we've talked about a mindset shift. We've talked about how to set up a nice little recovery area, your dog's own little recuperation station, and now we're going to talk about reaching mini milestones. Most people think about TPLO recovery in stages, like, oh, please just let me get through the first hardest week. And then it's, when will they start using their leg? Then they do start using their leg. And then it turns into, well, how is the bone healing? Bees are landing on me. How close are we to the 8-week post-op x-rays? And I wonder what I'm going to see. Will they have healed enough? Think about things like, yeah, getting through the first week, but even smaller than that. And you know what's cool about small milestones? You meet them a lot faster. So how about the first time they wag their tail after surgery, when they seem really happy, like they did pre-op? How about when they eat their first meal and they're actually hungry? That's pretty big. Remember, they're on antibiotics and NSAID medications that make their stomachs feel weird and not so good. And so when they finally eat and show interest in food, man, that's pretty big. How about being happy that you didn't have to help them up? They actually needed to go outside. They gave you the cue. Maybe they stood up. Maybe they looked toward the door. Maybe they walked toward the door. Maybe they barked. But they gave you a normal sign, just like they used to do before surgery. That's worth celebrating. The really cool thing is that when you're celebrating, you're also healing your own worry too. Now don't stop learning. You've come so far. Watch my next video. Remember, you've got this. You can do this. See you in the next video.